All right, ready to get started?
Yeah. I think.
Sinusoid?
Oh, yeah. Hey, guys, this episode is brought to you by Sinusoid Cables.
Makers of cables and smiles.
Check them out at sinusoid.com if you are looking for a great, custom-styled, not great, probably the best.
Not just custom styled, any styled you can dream of. If you want a standard styled, they can make it for you. If you want a custom
Yeah, they've
styled,
got some off-the-shelf stuff.
yeah.
Just basically like 3-click purchasing or an entire build-your-own cable program.
3-click purchasing. There's a nice little buzz
I don't know
phrase.
if it's actually 3-click purchasing, but it sounds cool.
Someone should purchase something on there and tell us how many clicks it took.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you want a cable that sucks and ain't no good at all,
Go somewhere else.
don't go to Sinusoid because they're only going to make you good stuff. Yeah, it was fun. Hey, this is Ryan.
And this is Steve, and you're listening to 60 Cycle Hum, the guitar buying, selling, trading, modding, fixing, breaking, reviewing, playing, selling, breaking, playing, reviewing, trading podcast.
Yeah, you got a little off the rails there,
There
Steve.
we go. Sorry.
I'll take it next time. How about that?
Okay. If that's what you think you want.
So, what's new, Steve?
So a couple weeks ago, I was talking about how I got this Strat, and now I'm trying to sell it.
Because that's what you do. You get it and you sell it.
I've gotten a couple offers on it so far. One was a Boss ME80. I said, nah, bro, that's cool.
For a trade for it?
Yeah.
That's like the blue one with like the square buttons?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a good trade.
I think they're like those. I was seeing them going for around 200 on Reverb. They are like 300 new, I think. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, but you're not...
No, I know.
Yeah,
I know,
you're not
obviously.
shopping for that. So it's
Yeah,
a weird trade.
And then the other offer I got, which I also declined, but a lot of people were telling me I should go for it, was a Squire vintage modified Jaguar in, was it the Jaguar?
Yeah, it was a Jaguar.
In Seafoam. Or,
That would have been an interesting trade. What was the Strat again? It was Mexican, right?
yeah.
That would have been an interesting trade. I think you could have learned some things about Jaguars or about fender offsets in general with that.
My biggest issue with it was that I already have this guitar taking up the space of a guitar in a hard case in my house. And
Of course.
I'm in this all for flip.
Yeah.
Now
To flip it.
some people said like, oh, well, you could probably like get as much as like the same amount of flip or at least minimal.
Steve, you want to get maximum
But I
flip.
want to get maximum flip.
Max flip.
Max flip. And you know, the issue is that a lot of those Jags I was seeing going for used, the prices were just all over the place.
Yeah.
Like, because there were people in the group who were like, oh yeah, I bought mine for $175. I'm like, that's not.
I think those days are done.
That's not an acceptable price for me.
That's when they were plentiful in the stores. I think you were seeing that happen.
Are they not selling that model anymore?
I don't think they're out there as much. I think they're trying to push the whole like Duosonic Mustang line in stores more now.
Yeah, so I don't know if I get far enough in, maybe I'll hit that guy up and make a quick swap, but I'm just not doing enough of my own electric guitar work. Plus,
I think
again,
I think you got to get him to be like the guitar plus 100.
right, and I thought about hitting him back on that, but the ad that he sent, like one, he's asking to like trade for like Gibson Les Paul, like
Yeah,
a
I
Gibson
saw
Les
that.
Paul Studio or
Or an
Gibson,
SG.
or an SG. So he's looking to do like guitar plus he's probably thinking, because he's listing this thing for like $350. I'm listing mine for $350.
Yeah.
So I think he's looking at it as a straight trade.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think on his side. I think he's got a. Well, then you get your Mexican Strat for you. Is there a reason why it's $350? I mean, you're top in on that.
Yeah,
It's
because
probably-
I'm just looking to see if I can get someone like at $275.
Yeah. I guess that's.
And so really,
Fairish, I guess.
really the question is, I guess, if I traded for the Jag, would I be able to sell the Jag really quick for $275? And I don't know if the answer to that is yes, which is why I'm hesitant.
Here's my question with those Squire Jags. Mm-hmm. I had a Jag for a little while, and I just couldn't get it used to it. And I was like, maybe if I put a Mastery in it, then I'd be able to handle it a
Right,
little
and
better.
a lot
But
of-
it was like a CIJ, and that wasn't even worth very much. It's like you're not going to dump a $300 bridge into a $200 guitar.
Yeah, and even even the CIJs were what, 500-600?
Yeah.
I know people said the same thing actually with the Squire ones that they are worth putting a mastery into. If it's a keeper,
Yeah.
and otherwise,
I mean, if you sell it, it's really easy to swap those bridges
yeah,
out.
or otherwise people were saying like, oh, just drop a Mustang bridge and do the Mustang conversion.
Yeah, that's like a $30 upgrade.
But again, my perspective on it was just it's all about speed. I'm a little disappointed that I haven't had more offers on the Strat. But
You might get more offers on
offer
the
up.
Jaguar.
Well, like I said, like that's the question.
But then the dollar value is going to be assumed lower.
right,
You know?
right.
You might have to do an interesting trade for pedals or for an amp or something like that. you
And
know?
that's something that's something I'd be willing to do is like a multi-pedal trade. I don't know if I'd do an amp, but I would definitely consider like if somebody came in and offered like a El Cap,
Yeah.
like one of those Strymon pedals that is selling for like $250 to $300 El Cap Flint, something like that. I'd make that trade right away.
Yeah, that'd be a solid trade.
And if
because
it
you
wa-
could flip that easy and you can ship it.
And we've got the video for I could sell it on Reverb. I could put it on Reverb. And we've got the video for the Flint. We could do something with the El Cap.
I think that's
maybe.
really going to be the thing you need to do with that Strat is you need to flip it. You need to trade it for things you can ship easily.
Yeah.
That you can
So
sell.
yeah, so when I was looking at like trade bait, that's why I'm like a guitar's not that interesting to me, but a lot of even like I wouldn't do $650 pedals, but like
Yeah, I know what you mean.
know a hand like if it was
You
like
would do like four $100 pedals.
pedals, something like that, something that where I could just list them individually on Reverb.
Yeah, and take
At
a
the end of
hit
the
on a
day,
couple of them,
Like I can't be super picky because I've only got $130 in this. So
That's
pretty
true.
much everything, like I could sell this for $175 and make profit.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to max out. I'm really thinking I can do 100%, which would be $260. But I don't want to lower my price yet. And I think like
You want to double your money.
maybe at the end of this week where we're recording. So actually probably around the day this episode drops, probably going to think about dropping my price down from $350 to like $320 and see if I can get any more feelers on that.
Get those feelers.
Yep.
Going back to the mastery thing, my recent like search engine itch when I'm on Reverb or
Yeah.
Craigslist or whatever or eBay is trying to find someone who's trying to sell a Fender offset, whether it be a Jaguar or a Jazzmaster that already has a mastery in it, just to get like some experience with it and do some demo work with it, and have one around, but have it be like get a deal on a mastery by having it already equipped in the guitar.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like most people who have a mastery bridge in a guitar, they know what they have.
I know, but it's kind of like, I get a lot of gear flowing through my house lately.
Yeah.
Just doing demos and stuff like that. This isn't a humble brag. This is just the reality of it. And so my used hunting is a lot more specific. I'm looking for very specific things.
Right.
And I'm willing to wait for, my white whale. There was one up in LA and I wrote the guy and was like, would you meet me halfway? Like in, San Clemente or something like that. And he didn't
Yeah.
write me back,
Oh.
but he was selling a CIJ with a mastery in it for like 600 or something.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah. So if I can get it somewhere in that territory where I'm saving like $100 off the mastery by getting a $500 guitar that
Right.
is listed at 600.
And like you said, you could go buy a Jag bridge off of
Exactly. But then I feel like
whatever.
if I get a guitar like that and I can pull the mastery out of it, then I can save the mastery and then use it to dump into any other Fender offset I get over the years, you know?
Right.
So that's what I've been thinking about.
Deep thoughts with Ryan Burke.
Yeah, super deep thoughts right there.
All right, you want to talk about this other new thing?
What's the other new thing? Oh, yeah, the video that we did.
Yeah, we put up a video about a week ago now. It's a ZVEX Fuzz Factory powered by Lemons.
Yeah, you bought that ZVEX a while back. Got a screaming deal on it. How
Yeah.
much did you pay? Like 150?
100,
100.
I think.
That's crazy, Steve.
I think it was $100.
And the guy when you bought it, he was like, "You're gonna flip this, right?"
No, yeah, he asked me. He was like, are you gonna actually play this, or are you just gonna flip it? And it was kind of weird because I was like,
You should send him our video.
if you know how much this is worth.
Yeah, why are you selling it?
I don't have his email address because we just went through
it's through
Craigslist.
Yeah,
I think I might have his phone number in my phone still.
text him. Give him a call, Steve. Check
But
up
yeah,
on him.
I told him like, yeah, I'm gonna do some demo work and stuff and with it, and I'll probably eventually sell it. It's too much flip, and I'm not. I don't know. But
You know what you should do? You should trade it for a Mexican Strat.
Oh my gosh, I didn't really think about that.
You
but
could trade it for various things.
I should trade it to myself
Oh my gosh.
for a Mexican Strat.
Which one would you keep if you traded to yourself? You got a Mexican Strat out of a deal and you got a Fuzz Factory out of the deal.
Well, my goal originally was to eventually sell both of them and then use that to kind of reboot my attempts to flip.
Yeah.
Problem is, I feel like flipping has kind of moved online. I don't know. Our local market's just been not that great for flipping for a couple years.
Yeah. So it's like you got to buy low on eBay and flip under Reverb now?
Something like that. I don't know. Obviously, I know people are having more success other places, but
It seems like it's hard to sell things right now in general. I've got a bunch of stuff on Reverb that's not moving at all, and it's surprising me because the last time I sold a bunch of stuff on Reverb, it all moved really quickly.
yeah. So anyway, let's talk about these lemons.
Yeah, so we did this video trying to power a guitar pedal with lemons. It's like a classic high school chemistry sort of experiment, right?
Yeah. So we are
Only usually in high school you're trying to power a light bulb or something.
yeah with like a potato.
Yeah.
So that's where the Fuzz Factory actually worked out really well because the Fuzz Factory, as far as I've been able to find, not that I've looked super hard,
We tried a few different pedals.
but the Fuzz Factory only requires 3 milliamps to run the circuit, which is like one of the lowest
super low.
power requirements for any pedal we've been able to find. I've heard like the DoD 250s are super low, but
I wouldn't be surprised.
Didn't we try one?
We didn't.
Some
no. We tried a clone of it.
Oh,
we tried the Fez.
The Fez.
Yeah, it didn't
do
work.
anything. But basically, we hooked up 18 lemons in one 12 lemon parallel battery and another 6 lemon parallel battery, and we hooked those two up in series. So basically, we took the 6 lemon battery, took the plus, and connected it to the minus of the other one, and the vice versa. And we were able to get exactly 3 milliamps and about 1 volt.
Yeah. You're talking about starving a pedal. This is ridiculous.
So for comparison, Ryan has a Danelectrode.
Yeah, it's a wall wart that you can voltage starve.
Yeah, it does
things with
voltage starvation, and it goes down to what, like 4 volts?
It goes to 3.
3 volts. So we are at a third of what like people who manufacture things to intentionally sag pedals
Big props to the Fuzz Factory that it was able to give us sound.
Yeah.
With basically no power.
We gave that at the amount of voltage that we gave it, it was not enough power to turn on and off the LED. It was just enough power to power the circuit. And my favorite part was when I said, "Hey, let's plug it into the wall now and see what happens."
Oh God.
And it was like that, almost like that scene in Back to the Future.
Oh, yeah.
When Marty turns on like the 6-foot speaker amp and like blows himself across the room.
It was
because
ridiculous.
we had everything dimed on the pedal and we're like, oh, this is a pretty pleasant volume.
Yeah, it was very easy to be in the room with.
And then we plugged into the wall and the volume must have jumped, I don't know, 3, 4, 5-fold. I mean, it was crazy.
I wouldn't want to try to measure it by guessing, but it was like the volume jump was like uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable to be in the room with the pedal when it fully powered.
It was great.
It was
awesome.
pretty good. It was pretty good.
So anyway, check out that video if you haven't seen it yet.
We're open to suggestions on how to, well, not suggestions, but ideas on how we could have gotten more power out of a similar amount of lemons, like different wiring schematics, different ways of arranging nails and things like that. We're not going to do any of it, but it's kind of like a conversation starter.
What I would like to see is if someone else wants to try it, that'd be super cool. I'd love to talk about it.
I want to see someone try to power a pedal with a bunch of pineapples.
Oh my gosh. I actually read, I think apples might be better for this than lemons. I forget. Basically any fruit that has like acidic juice, this will work with.
Yeah.
But the lemon is, I guess, one of the more common ones. People do it with potatoes.
Yeah. Well, I've got the idea was that I have this giant lemon tree in my yard that we took like 30 lemons off of this thing.
Yeah.
Which made me realize that there's got to be at least like 400 lemons on this tree. It didn't even make a dent.
Yeah. I was, overall, we kind of fluked into making it work.
We almost gave up.
I don't want to say we got lucky because like I understand the principles of what we did a little bit.
We hit a point where there was a lot of frustration.
There's some design issues, and basically what made it work is we had a row of lemons where I think one or two of the lemons was bad, and
we had some lemons in the lemons.
Yeah, that was basically like shorting out that entire cell. I'm using air quotes.
I still don't understand
for
that.
people.
How would that work?
Well, because basically, I think if you have one lemon that's not like conducting properly, not conducting properly, then instead of that cell like creating energy, like creating electricity that you can use, that bad lemon, that bad point
is
sucking everything up.
Interesting.
So it's kind of like that idea. It's basically like, think about if you're trying to like power like a children's toy, you're supposed to use all fresh batteries. And if you have like 3 fresh batteries and 1 dead battery, like it just doesn't work. But like 4 half power batteries will work.
Right.
So it's kind of like that sort of an idea.
Yes.
Like the one bad lemon killed the entire battery, so it made nothing. Yeah. It made neither of them work.
Huh. Well,
which is why taking it out made it work.
Check your lemons before you using to power everything.
Right. And I mean, ultimately, like if we had a lot of time to like just kill on it, there's like 2 or 3 things I think would have made it a lot smoother. One would have been testing every lemon individually ahead of time, which would have taken a long time, more time than you want to deal with. Actually, if we had like a better, you could probably put together like a decent setup to do that pretty quickly.
Probably.
The other thing would be actually like understanding how batteries work.
And basic like electronic wiring and stuff like that.
Because then you could just design, and I think that was the big thing is like if I knew more about how interconnecting batteries works,
sure, like
then I could have
connecting series to parallel to like maximize milliamps or volts.
Because like you showed me that one picture. God, we're spending way too much time on this.
Who cares?
You sent me that one picture. You're like, oh, this seemed to be the one that worked the most, and so I took that, and once I drew it, like it started to make a lot more sense to me.
Right,
but I had trouble visualizing lemons.
I think about lemons all the time. The image of lemons is perfect in my mind right now.
Yeah,
I know exactly what they look like.
And then I think
they're like long, and they're yellow, and you pull the skin back.
Oh my God!
And they're like soft inside.
I think the other thing that helped was I was trying to do everything theoretically, and you were like, "No, let's just hook it up," and like I'm just going to keep hitting the guitar until it makes a sound. And that's what I started doing at the end when we were still testing, because it was
the caveman way.
At that point, I realized that like it's really only milliamps that matter. Like voltage is not as important as milliamps. So I just have to figure out how to get just enough voltage.
Yeah. Like milliamps is the amount. I read it somewhere. If it was a water analogy, milliamps is the amount of water, and volts is the pressure of the water.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah. So, it's
yeah.
All right, anyway, lemons. Let's move on.
Let's move on to
let's get to the good stuff. Yep.
Do we have any housekeeping this week?
Oh yeah, this week Michael Mobley started supporting us at the inner circle level. Thank you, Michael.
Thanks, Michael.
And you're might already be with you because I actually shipped that one out fairly quickly.
And here's an announcement. We just recently released our threadless store.
Oh, yes. 60cyclehum.threadless.com, I believe.
Something like that. You can find it on our Facebook group or email us if you can't find it.
Yeah.
But we're putting all kinds of shirt designs in there. We have a really cool one that's like a Bill and Ted theme with Steve and I in it.
Yeah, that one's a ton of fun.
But if you join the inner circle, we have an extra shop for those, a secret shop where they're all sold at cost. So there's a lot of money savings there.
Yeah, so basically...
if you're thinking about buying a couple shirts, joining the inner circle for a month or two would be a good move, is my tip.
Pro tip.
Professional tip.
All right, this ad is a Guyatone EB4 from 1967. It says it's white, but that ain't no white I've ever seen. I wonder if it was originally white and it just faded.
That's possible. What? I mean, this does not look like something that was left out to fade, though. This looks really clean.
Yeah.
Because a fade, like you would get like an uneven fade on it usually.
Right.
This is a very even looking fade. But, you know, if you got your hands on this and pulled that pickguard back, you might be able to tell. I'm sure there's a little bit of a yellowing on it.
Mm-hmm. So it was made in 1967. One pickup, one volume, and one tone control. Weight 3.73 kilograms.
That's good to know how many kilograms it weighs.
Yeah, well, it's because it is in Japan. It is $376.81 plus $126.87 shipping. So that's going to hurt. But this thing looks really cool.
For how good it looks, that price is not that big of a deal. $500.
$500. I don't know, man. The tough thing with this is,
it's very handsome.
It looks really good. It's in excellent shape.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I think about like the Guyatone that you got for Adam. And that I know like how much all those parts cost altogether. It wasn't very much.
No, not much at all.
So
well, I bought that Guyatone from the swap meet for $50.
Right.
But it was like in really wrecked condition and had this terrible silver blue burst on it.
Right.
It was like an aftermarket finish on it, I think. This is just slick and beautiful. I'm going to put my feet down and say that it's worth the $500 just for its aesthetic condition and that it looks so cool. It probably is not going to play as well as a modern $500 bass guitar, and it's not going to sound as good. But for one
I think it's cool enough.
One that's this cool looking and that the metal parts on it aren't like completely pocked with rust is amazing. Because the one that I bought was like beyond freckled with rust. Like it was like solid continents of rust on there. I just think it's very attractive. And I'm going to bet that for a bass, it probably plays decent and it probably sounds decent.
Yeah. So somebody tried to sell one of these in a different color on eBay. And
what did they get?
It did not sell at $550. It is still up for $550 with free shipping. It is in more of a sunbursty color.
What's the condition of it?
It looks like it's in pretty good shape. It doesn't have the matching pickguards. The cream definitely looks like really sharp.
The cream sells it. I mean, this doesn't look bad. You should send me these photos for the video. This one's got mismatched knobs too.
Yeah.
No, the cream one I think is far superior to this. This looks like it's a little bit more roughed up, and it's missing original knob. So, yeah, I'm going to stick by my assessment of that price. But it's not a flipping price for sure. That is a buying to keep price.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. I also want to talk about how big a fan I am of this style of metal pick guard. I think it's a really cool concept, and I wish that a current builder would incorporate this somehow in their designs. I don't know how they would pull it off. They'd have to, enter some sort of other kind of world of manufacturing to get these made, and I know it'd be a lot more expensive than your traditional pickguard material.
Yeah.
But it's just a really cool concept to have this big, like bubbled out piece of chrome metal.
Well, it gives the everything a little more depth.
Yeah.
And I mean, even but
it's like a finger rest that sticks out like on a Les Paul or a hollow body guitar.
Well, and everything about this is kind of like over the top. I mean, look at the bridge cover.
Yeah, the bridge cover is nuts. But then also another plus to that pickguard design.
Yeah.
And I learned this working on the guitar that I bought for Adam, which is the guitar counterpart to this, like similar design. is that when you have that big bubbled out pick guard like that, you don't have to have any body route because all the electronics are floating up off the body. So you have a more solid piece of wood underneath the whole thing, which is a lot of fun in my opinion, and a little bit less work for the builder maybe. And something interesting for people to think about if they're the type of person that's like, oh, more wood means more tone, right?
I guess.
But it also allows a guitar like this, which is probably going to have a very thin style body, being a Japanese import.
Yeah.
It allows it to not have so much wood taken out when it's already going to be pretty light. I mean, what is it, 3.5 kilograms?
Yeah, so that's
3 3/4 kilograms.
7 pounds ballpark.
Yeah, pretty light for a bass.
3.7 is it's like on the pushing 8 pounds. Still fairly light.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm a big fan of that design. Also, you could take that pick guard off. Looks like 5 screws on there. And you could drill a new hole and put other switches in there, get into the wiring really quickly. I wouldn't suggest that with this bass.
Right.
But, if someone made guitars that had this concept, it would be really easy to do mods on it. Or to hide other electronics underneath it. Hide like a tremolo circuit or a reverb or delay circuit under there or a fuzz circuit. There's a lot of stuff you can do with this concept. I'm a big fan of it. So builders out there who are listening, figure it out. Go make this thing. I promise I'll think about buying it, but probably won't.
This guy, I swear.
Send me one.
All right. This week, actually over the last few weeks, EHX has been rolling out a lot of new stuff over the last
crazy.
I'll say over the last couple months. So I'm going all the way back to probably the first one that kind of got people in I accidentally punned, in a bind.
Oh my gosh.
Back in June, they announced the Electro-Harmonix Tone Corset analog compressor. Later, 2 weeks later, they released the platform stereo compressor. They followed that up at the end of July with the Hot Wax, which was a mix of
they did their expression pedal and their double expression pedal.
Yeah, the expression pedals. The Hot Wax, which is a combination of the crayon
and
with
the hot
tubes. Apparently they're releasing a Super Ego Plus as well.
Yeah.
And an amp and cab.
An amp and cab? What do you mean?
Like a
cab sim?
No, like a cabinet. Like they are going to have an amplifier
are they doing
and a cabinet.
are they doing a Sovtech in a cabinet? Like a combo?
This stuff is branded Electro-Harmonix. The internet in your garage is not the best, so I will not read any more about it.
Okay. I didn't know about that.
About a week ago, they announced the Electro-Harmonix Cockfight Plus Fuzz Wah, which is the Cockfight in a Dunlop-style treadle.
Yeah. And it's a fixed wah pedal in a wah pedal.
Yeah, it's no longer fixed.
No, they broke it.
And of course, this past week, the Electro-Harmonix Green Russian Big Muff Pie, or as the internet all said together,
finally, duh.
Yeah,
the first thing I thought when the Russian Big Muff came out was like, oh, they figured out that if they make what people want, they can make money.
It's weird to think about this one because, it's supposed to be the Green Russian, and it's weird to think about the number of companies that have basically got off the ground doing various versions of Big Muffs.
Well, Electro-Harmonix does like 4 new Big Muff variations every year.
Right.
But I'm saying, like, skips over the ones that everyone like clones.
But I'm saying like their core muffs, like if you go back, you have like the muff and the double muff and whatever.
Metal muff.
I'm just saying just the big muff itself. Sure. You've got the triangle, the ram's head, the green, the bubble font, the Civil War, the Black Russian, and the silver box, the NYC.
Yeah.
Like those are all just variations on this. And they've basically, I think they still active. And then, these other ones. So you've got like the nano muff, the metal muff, that they have now, I believe they are still making the big box
I don't
one,
know.
and I thought they were still making the black one, but maybe not, because I know I see those ones, because the black one is either the version 7 or the version 8. That's the one that's recently like started to climb on the used market,
Oh, really?
which is weird. I used to be able to get that's the one Adam has.
Yeah.
So you used to be able to buy those for like $30-$40, and now I want to say they're like $80 to $110.
Huh. Interesting. I got to restart the camera.
So anyway, this green Russian Big Muff Pie, is one that a lot of companies, again, have copied. All of their versions companies have kind of built off of. It's in the nano style box with side jacks. A lot of people are like, oh, it has side jacks. It should have top jacks like the originals did.
Yeah, it's in a completely different case than the originals.
Yeah, but people still put top jacks on this size case.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know if that's true.
I don't know. They're pretty small.
This is the smaller, because this is the crayon box. It is smaller.
It's a dumb thing to complain about. It's a small box. Why are you so stressed out about top or side jacks with a small box like that?
So anyway, this is a thing that they have. I don't know what to say about it. It is supposed to be $80.60 when it hits the market, so that's a pretty low price.
Yeah.
Whether or not they will kind of blow a hole in their competition, I mean, who knows?
No, that's not the way that stuff works. I mean,
It isn't.
Everyone wants very specific versions. They want, their favorite company's take on everything.
Yeah.
So all these, other companies that make Russian style muffs are going to be just fine, because people are going to be like, oh, that one has a little tweak on it. That one has another tweak. What's going to open up is people are going to buy the new version and figure out mods to them.
Right.
And then sell the mods.
It might be tough, because a lot of these small box EHX pedals are all SMT inside.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's the modding. I mean, it's doable, but it's not as easy as the older ones where you want to change the resistor value. You just
people go and mod like the micropog and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, but those ones, I think they're more on like the timing and what, I don't know.
Yeah.
You're right. The other one that I think is interesting of the different ones we've talked about is actually the hot wax.
Yeah.
The crayon, when it came out, it was a pretty popular 4-knob overdrive. I don't know a lot about the hot tubes. This article I'm reading makes it sound like it was kind of a big thing.
The hot tubes was an early overdrive distortion pedal for EHX.
Yeah,
and
I'm not super familiar with it. They make it sound like, oh, a lot of people won't like this because it takes away your ability to stack different overdrives. My only issue with it is, again, I'm familiar with the crayon. I didn't think any of the other EHX drive pedals were, well, the Soul Food's popular, obviously.
Yeah.
The glove is pretty popular. The hot tubes is just one I don't hear people talk about.
Yeah, it's funny. They put out a new version of it every now and then. They had a version long while back that had an actual tube in it.
Right.
Which was not the first version. The original version was just a pedal. And then they came out with the tube version. And then they re-released the original version fairly recently. I want to say 3 or 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. And so now they've stuck it into something else. I wonder what their creative process is over there as far as combining pedals, because they're always doing it. What was the one they combined? The turnip.
Oh, the turnip greens
was Soul Food and a reverb or something like that.
I believe so. Yeah.
They combine weird things sometimes.
Wait, some of those
they made you see companies like JHS making 2-in-1 pedals that are custom jobs for individual customers.
Right.
It's like EHX does that, but they assume there's going to be 2,000 people out there that want that specific combination.
I think certain ones make sense if you're looking for a standalone, but there's one of them, I want to say it was the tattoo, where people were like, this is the new metal starter kit, because it was it was like a muff and a flanger.
Yeah. I remember there was a bunch of weird things in it.
What
it was like a metal muff and an electric mistress and a delay or something like that.
I don't remember.
I can't remember.
But people were calling it the new metal starter pack.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, they must be doing well enough that they don't just hit the market and then
I guess
get discontinued like 6 months later.
I mean, what's the R&D on something like this? It's not going to be a lot. They're just putting two things that they already have in the same box.
They probably just have a list going where people write them and say, hey, have you ever thought about combining these two pedals? And they just go, hey, got another email for reverb plus distortion. And there's just a guy like who walks over to the whiteboard and puts a ticker. And once they hit like 30, they're like, all right, we got 30. Let's make it.
Are there even any like price savings on something like that rather than buying the two pedals?
It's just space. I think you're just saving space. I don't know.
Huh.
I
gotta say though, I did like the I had the germanium Big Muff, which was it wasn't even a Big Muff. It was like this nasty, grindy 60 cells fuzz on one side and a really, really light overdrive on the other side. Mm-hmm. I really liked that pedal. It was a double size pedal, and the two sides just worked well with each other. So maybe they are like picking two pedals and like, we think these work well. We're just going to put it out and see what people think, you know?
Right. All right. Let's hit this next ad.
Which is going to feed into our second topic eventually.
Who posted this? Donovan Ford. This is a Radio Shack Dynamic Mic 1990s owned by Anthony Kiedis. This Radio Shack 33-3018 dynamic microphone is from the private collection of Anthony Kiedis. Believe it or not, this little mic was responsible for the unique vocal tones on One Hot Minute. This is the One Hot Minute sound. Kiedis would run the 1/4-inch cable into his practice amp without his shirt on. Do you think this works if you put your shirt on?
I wouldn't want to try.
The amazing thing about this little Radio Shack mic is that it still has a strip of tape with Kiedis' setting for the One Hot Minute album sound on it. The mic has an on-off switch, and Kiedis wanted to remind himself to leave it in the on position. This mic works perfectly. It's incredibly mean when singing shirtless, and surprisingly expressive and dynamic when backed off to more traditional shirt settings. A great practice or studio mic.
I wouldn't recommend a shirt setting with this mic.
A great practice or studio mic with incredible history behind it. Comes with box. This item will ship with a physical certificate of authenticity from Reverb.com. They're asking $10,000.
I think that's a little steep. The shipping is a little insulting too. $80
shipping. It's from the official Anthony Kiedis Reverb shop on Reverb. They joined Reverb August 17th, 2017.
That's recent. They're getting on the bandwagon, huh?
And I want to know how many offers they've received on this to give it away. Give it away.
Oh my gosh.
Give it away. Give it away now.
That was a good one, Steve. Have you been sitting on that all day?
I was thinking that maybe I could get this.
That song always makes me think of the Weird Al version.
I was thinking I could get this and put it on Craigslist, and when I sell it, I'll just tell the buyer to meet me under the bridge.
Downtown?
Yes.
Yeah. That's where you sold your mic? Mm-hmm. Under the bridge downtown is where I sold my mic.
How long have you been waiting on that?
Just
Since
now.
right now.
Right now. I think the price on this is steep. This is more like the price I would pay if it was signed and came with a photo of Anthony Kiedis holding it, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's fair.
This is not, just the product price, in my opinion.
I'm thinking... I don't know the Red Hot Chili Peppers catalog well enough to make any more Red Hot Chili Peppers jokes.
You made all the references that I get from the 90s, so we're good. I almost had one, but
maybe
no, it's not good enough.
Could, if I got it, I could use it on this side, and then I could pass it to you on the other side, and you could use it over there. No? Okay.
No, sorry, Steve.
Do you think this would make my tone as snow, something about snow? All right, let's
need to give up on the puns.
Let's keep going.
The puns thing isn't happening. You need to stop making it happen, Steve.
This was a joke ad, right? Do we know? Was this a joke?
100% got to be a joke ad. The guy doesn't have any additional photos, showing any kind of actual,
settings.
No, like any precedence for this actually being owned by Anthony Kiedis.
And of course, so what this is referencing is
and what would be the max anyone would actually pay for a microphone owned by Anthony Kiedis? Like
if this was actually owned by Anthony Kiedis,
$300, $400?
you could maybe take this, put the pop capsule into, or pop filter into like a vat of biological media
And grow a clone?
And grow a clone of Anthony Kiedis.
I like where you're going. We're going to make a lot of money selling Anthony
All right.
Kiedis clones.
All right. So anyway, I don't know. If it was an actual Radio Shack mic owned by Anthony Kiedis, I could see like maybe in a charity auction getting like
Couple hundred.
1,000 at
1,000?
I'm saying charity auction. So you're already like sitting there, you're daddy warbucksing it, and you're like, hey.
I mean, like always.
So you're already set to like spend $1,000 or
course.
more, and you're like, oh
I
yeah, this
want to
thing's
spend $1,000.
This thing's dumb enough for me to throw in a
Throw in
a
chili peppers.
drawer.
I think my granddaughter likes them. I'll buy it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I think that's probably about it.
But the reality of this is that it's actually most likely a spoof ad making fun of what we're going to talk about in our topic coming up right now is Billy Corgan's Smashing Pumpkins Reverb store.
Yes.
Do you have enough Wi-Fi to get into that thing?
Do you not have any pictures?
I don't.
Oh.
Let's see if I can find it by jumping on Reverb. So Billy Corgan has his own store on Reverb. Which is not unusual. A lot of celebrity guitarists have their own reverb shops.
Yeah,
now.
we actually talked about a while ago the Jeff Tweedy store, which is Jeff Tweedy from Wilco.
Yeah.
He has a studio, and so a lot of his studio equipment was up on Reverb. But none of them had like absurd prices like this.
Well, a lot of it was like there was oddities and like weird guitars that he'd played and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm not getting enough of a connection. Looks like you got it. This is like some of it is like key pieces from like Smashing Pumpkins history, which is cool. Like guitars that were on tours, guitars that were in music videos, whatever.
The guitar,
but some of it is like, oh, here's a crate GT15R.
Yeah, so I mean, this is
for like, what was it, like $5,000 or something like that?
This is kind of the stuff that's like so weird. So some of these are just amps that were owned by Billy Corgan, but like, so like, here's something I can't process, right?
Process it to me.
Fender Champion 110 1990s Black Tolex owned by Billy Corgan. So this is a small Fender solid state amp, $450, but it's owned by Billy Corgan. So I'm like, all right, I get it.
Okay. But he didn't use it on anything, did he?
Right. It doesn't say, but then this crate GX15R 1990s Black Tolex owned by Billy Corgan, which was apparently like the key to him generating a bunch of tones on the Machina album.
Right. I think
$6,000.
I think I read the description, and he said that he used it basically as a distortion pedal. He ran out of the headphone out into another amp.
This crate GX15R is from the private collection of Billy Corgan. Believe it or not, this little combo was responsible for the heavy distortion sounds on Machina. This is the Machina sound. It's a Machina or Machina?
Probably Machina.
All right. Corgan would run out of the headphone jack or the speaker jack similar to a DI. These little crate combos were dimed, essentially becoming distortion pedals, and were and routed out into the board, et cetera, et cetera. There's tape on it that shows the settings that it was at, like basically so they could reply it or replicate it wherever, I guess.
Yeah.
But $6,000.
I technically own one of these things.
Yeah.
I lent it to my brother-in-law to learn guitar with. It was my first amp ever.
So you could just take this picture
and duplicate the tape and make a reproduction.
Yep. I had the
then sell it for $3,000, half price.
I had the GFX 15,
that one's
which
garbage,
was the
Steve.
digital one, and my sister used it to run guitar through it, and it exploded.
Yeah, the one with the R has the real reverb tank.
Yeah,
in
mine
it.
had the fake reverb. So
you can
there's
crash it.
So there's like a lot of stuff like this. And the 88 MP1 pair owned by Billy Corgan during the Gish and Siamese Dream eras. It was apparently used to record and tour on Gish, and was the main guitar sound from 1989 through 1992. And
I mean, 89 to
until Billy switched to the Marshall JMP1.
that's
for
kind of
Siamese
like
Dream.
key like fanboy era for Smashing Pumpkins. So if that's like the main amp, like how much is he asking for that thing?
$30,000.
$30,000. What's the model again? Can you show me a picture?
It's an ADA MP1. It's just this little rack mount guy.
What does that do?
It's a preamp.
It's a preamp, huh?
Here's one. This one just says make an offer.
I mean, these aren't prices because these objects are hard to get or because they don't exist on the market anymore. It's solely because they're Smashing Pumpkins memorabilia. But is there anyone out there who's such a huge Smashing Pumpkins fan that they'd spend $30,000 on a preamp?
Here's an interesting one. Also, from
Just because he owned it.
for the Machina album, the 1994 Les Paul Special Faded Silverburst, owned by Billy Corgan, used to record basically the entire album, and being played on stage. It's missing the pickup selector switch because Billy Corgan had the neck pickup bypassed and the switch removed. And there's a sticker of Jim Morrison on it.
Oh, great.
The guitar also has a handful of nasty gashes dug into the wood on the side of the body near the pick guard. Otherwise, minimal wear. Bridge pickup sounds great. They're just asking for offers on this. The actual listing price on this is $999,999, because basically what they're looking for is for you to send them an offer and tell them why you are the right buyer. And they've got another guitar. It's a 1988 Stratocaster.
I thought that one looked cool. The one with like all the stars and stuff on it.
Yeah, so that's another one.
How much do they want for that one?
It's another make an offer, so it's listed at effectively $1 million.
Here's another thing. Here's another like point I want to make. Besides like kind of like fuzz feedback in between notes, is Billy Corgan even known for having tone, like a signature tone?
I think so.
That's like hard to get. Like most time when people are like, "Oh, you want to get the Billy Corgan tone? Just get the specific big muff." You know?
I mean, I will say like, yeah, there's definitely that. But Billy Corgan currently has a signature Reverend.
But it's
guitar.
Yeah, but it's like for now. It's not for like.
He previously had a signature Fender.
That was the one with the lipsticks, right? He had some
remember.
Strat with lipsticks in it that I always kind of drooled
So
over.
I mean, so he's at least been a recognized enough guitar player that you know.
But
he's
it's
got a
not
couple
what I'm
signature
getting
instruments.
at is it's not like Stevie Ray Vaughan where like if you had one of Stevie's Tube Screamers you would be able to call for a lot of money for it because it's like here's a secret to his tone, here's the one that he used. Like a lot of Billy Corgan stuff, it's just like here's a Strat, he might have put a different pickup in it.
Yeah, it's big.
And then he slammed like 3 distortion pedals as hard as he could.
Right, it's this big wall of sound. That's kind of what Smashing Pumpkins was known for.
Yeah.
I don't know. Obviously, this store is like really crazy. There's a Dan Electro electric sitar in here.
For how much?
3,600.
Is it an original? OG?
Yeah, 1969.
Okay.
A 1974 yellow Stratocaster for $12,000. So a Taylor GS8 2007 for $2,500. So there are like items in here that while they are still, I would say, overpriced, they're not like absurd. So there's
if you wanted to get yourself something to collect that he did own, you could find something in here that is nominally affordable. For the celebrity collecting set.
Exactly. And so I mean, I guess that's kind of that question of like.
But then like a Taylor GS, what was it? GS8.
GS8.
Taylor GS8 that he kicked around for a couple of years as like his home guitar. Like that doesn't mean very much,
right?
It just he owned it.
He owned it.
And
that's kind of like the state of a lot of these things. Are just kind of like they're probably 2 to 3 times more than what you would normally see them on the used market for.
Yeah.
A perfect example here is a Fender Telecaster Bass 1973. He's asking whoever the seller is, is asking $3,200, which for a 1973 Telecaster bass, I think is high. But
Yeah.
I'm guessing the standard price on that is between $1,500 and $2,000. So it's only, again, like maybe double what you would expect to pay versus, a crate GX15 that they're asking $6,000 for, that I could probably go find on Craigslist in every major city in the United States right now for under $80.
If I had mine here, I would feel bad selling it to you for $50. I would feel like I was ripping you off.
Yeah, they're a practice amp.
It's below practice amp. I mean, it's like
Well, they were a practice
compared to
they were a
a
practice amp 20 years ago.
compared to a practice amp of today, like the Boss Katana.
All right. Put that boss money away.
I wish I had boss money to put away somewhere. Yeah, the whole thing's just kind of ridiculous, but I hope he has a market out there. But then also, Billy's kind of has a reputation of being kind of self-absorbed and self-important, and thinking more of himself than is, within reality.
Right. So I guess the real topic we wanted to talk about this, that we've kind of just gone on and on, is...
Oh, yeah.
So maybe we can do this real quick. And actually, I would rather hear from our listenership.
Oh, totally.
Who would you want to see open up a Reverb store?
Yeah, what guitarist would you want to open up a Reverb store? And would you want them to price stuff high, or would you want them to price it low?
Well, I'm thinking more from the angle of like
I guess it's not want. It's like
whose collections would you want to see?
It's like who's someone who could actually upcharge their stuff, and you'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna get that.
I mean, Frampton. If all of his stuff didn't get washed away in the Nashville floods a few years ago.
This is gonna sound weird, but I'd love it if Beck opened up a store. He's got to have like a million little gadgets and gizmos.
He's probably got some really cool stuff.
And I bet he would probably put it up for fair prices, that, collector's prices. But then I could get, some sort of like weird little synthy module thing and put it on the shelf and be like, that's Beck's.
Right.
I bought that from Beck,
I don't know if there's anyone
I know who.
that I would like off the cuff. You know who I'm going to say?
No, I know who for me.
But I think like I go back and forth. Like there's collections I think that would be interesting, which is where I was saying like Frampton, like John Five, because he's considered like one of the foremost Telecaster collectors in the world.
Anything you want from Jimmy Eat World?
I was thinking Jimmy Eat World. That would be a pretty obvious one to see. The thing is they have two guitar players, so I would.
That's double the merch.
Just double the merch, both of them. Just a Jimmy Eat World store.
Yeah.
And
that's really the key. You got to find a band that's got a lot of guitar players in it, and you get more stuff.
Or you just got to find a band that like is known, or an artist who's known for like using a lot of effects and stuff.
Yeah, like someone who's gear crazy.
Yeah, that's actually the one thing in the Corgan store that I didn't see a lot of is individual effects.
Yeah,
it was mostly amps and guitars.
Doesn't he know,
and a lot of synthesizers.
Doesn't he know that it's easier to ship pedals? I mean, come on.
Jeez, Billy.
But I was going to say, I'd be really stoked if there was a Chris Ballou store from Presidents of the United States of America, because I know he's got a pile of crazy weird guitars from the span of his career. I mean, there's a few key ones from the Presidents that I'm sure would go for big, big money. But I'd love to see all the quirky stuff in his collection. And that's another part of it, just seeing like all the stuff, like it's like a little museum showing off all this gear that they've used, It's interesting.
There's certain, I'm thinking through different people, or trying to think of different people, and like some of them, like who I bet would have a really crazy store, because of like the range of work they've done is Van Halen.
Yeah, but how much stuff would there actually be in there? Like a bunch of, Ernie balls, a couple of Kramers.
I think there'd be a lot of interesting stuff in there. I think there'd be a lot of interesting effects.
A bunch of phaser pedals.
I think there'd be a good number of interesting effects.
He doesn't use that many effects. It's mostly just amp distortion with a phaser in front of it. And some delay sometimes.
I think there'd be some really interesting stuff in there. Bigger than that, probably one that should have been a couple of them would be Yonzi, however the hell he pronounced his name, from Sigur Rós.
Okay.
Would probably have a pretty crazy reverb store. Johnny Greenwood from Radiohead
Yeah.
would be
They have a lot of little tricks and gadgets that they use.
I think that would be...
you know what would kill? Like everyone would go nuts for it? The Edge.
Yeah.
If the Edge opened up a pedal shop. Here's just all the pedals that I never found a use for.
Yeah.
Who wants to buy pedals the Edge didn't use? I bet he's just got crates full of pedals.
Have you ever... Well, did you watched... what was that show? What was the thing he did? The doc.
Oh, the one with Jack
Page
White.
and Jack White.
Yeah. It might get loud.
It might get loud.
Yeah.
I think it was in that documentary, or maybe it was something else, where he talked about like all of the pedals that he used on albums he tours with.
Yeah, they're still in his his rig.
Yeah, they're
like they just go into a big rack.
And he's got this like 70 button rack or this
ridiculous
switcher, and he just switches. But like he's like, yeah, the chorus pedal that I used for such and such song in like 1984, like I tour with that pedal.
Yeah, it's nuts. Let's move on to the last.
I think
ad.
the Edge is like the ultimate answer in this.
Probably, especially for the set of people that we travel with. That would break people's minds.
Yeah. All right. This is a Gibson ES335. It was sent by John Choi. This is it says it's a Katrina survivor. So let's read what this is all about.
Read the story on it.
This Gibson ES335 was recovered from a flooded New Orleans home in the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina. As the story goes, the owner of the guitar died in the flood, and all of his belongings were discarded into a large trash pile in front of his gutted residence several weeks after the waters receded. This guitar was found in rough shape, having endured weeks of wet conditions along with the extreme Louisiana heat and humidity. It has been carefully and lovingly restored to excellent playing condition by world-renowned luthier Holger Notzel.
Holger Notzel.
The restoration addressed only the playability of the guitar and the functionality of its electronics. As you'd expect with the restoration of a historical item, the cosmetic scars inflicted by the storm and its aftermath were left intact. The restoration is nothing short of miraculous. This Gibson has been given a second life and likely plays and sounds better today than it ever did before the storm. The exposure to wet conditions in Louisiana's summer heat caused the finish to bubble up and flake in several places, and it's the reason I'm calling this guitar's condition fair to good. The metal bits have become tarnished, however, these flaws are purely cosmetic, and the guitar is 100% playable in its scarred condition. It's an incredible player. To be honest, I wish I could keep this one because there's something very special about it. Sometimes a guitar comes into the shop that I know I'll regret letting go of. This is one of those guitars. This Gibson is a survivor baptized in the water of a great American tragedy. It is a small but tangible piece of American history, but as they say, you can't keep them all. It includes hard shell case, et cetera, about shipping details. This guy's asking $2,500. I am currently reaching for my credit card.
It looks really cool, right?
It's got a really cool look. Obviously, like
what is a stock ES335 from this like age go for? Like $1,200?
I know.
15?
I mean, you can't buy a new ES 335 for that. So I would guess if you wanted to buy this, you're looking even for like a new or for a used one this age. I would estimate
it for me, Steve. Look it up on eBay.
Well, I'm trying to get it up, but off the top of my head, I would still guess 15 to 2,000, somewhere in that range.
So the price isn't ridiculous considering all the work that went into it. And it just looks really freaking cool.
So here's a 1982 Gibson ES335 dot neck with a Bigsby that somebody's asking $2,500 for, so the same price. Here's a 1979 with a trapeze bridge that someone's asking $2,800 for.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think
that's a fair price.
I think this. So
assuming it doesn't, infest your house with black mold.
Right. So I guess the counterpoint would be that this is obviously damaged. So you got to buy in on the idea that like
it plays better now somehow.
Not even that it plays better, that this is like a piece of history that you want to own.
Right. Well, I just think that, talk about a natural relic. I think the look of this thing is incredible. it's just got this like matte patina to the paint, just that really fine cracking throughout, little bits of paint missing here and there. It looks like an old piano, you know?
Yeah.
It looks like a piano that's been sitting in a high school for 80 years.
Yeah. The pricing is kind of, looking at the pricing is honestly, it's kind of not something I'm going to be able to do on the fly.
Oh, of course not.
But I would definitely, I feel like, especially, I feel like, you know, there's a definite market for this.
Oh, sure.
I think there is probably someone out there who maybe had a similar guitar that was just completely destroyed, couldn't get it restored, that might be in a better financial position, who was like, I got all of my stuff wrecked during Hurricane Katrina. Like, this is totally something I'm into.
Yeah, yeah.
Or just,
that would be that would be a heartwarming, you know, like customer to buy this is someone who lost their ES335 in Katrina. They left it out on the rubbish pile in front of their house, and they came out and it was just gone.
Oh my gosh.
But finally, they can buy one that reminds them.
Now,
of
what
it.
would be kind of interesting too is knowing whether or not, you know, if that was your situation, if you, because this is on Reverb, and be like, hey, this is my situation. How low are you willing to go?
Oh, yeah,
like whether or not this
can
shop
tug at those
would
heartstrings.
basically be willing to say like, look, like you're one of us. Like you, I don't want to say you deserve this guitar, but you understand it. You know, in a way that like I can't really understand
Sure,
this.
of course not.
I understand the story. I understand that George Bush hates black people. So Kanye, come on, Kanye.
Well, here's the thing: like you buy this thing for yourself, and you like fall in love with it, and then one day, you know, like the Katrina Historical Society shows up and is like, we're looking for like museum piece donations to add to this thing, and you're like, oh gosh, I gotta freaking put my guitar in this thing now. I feel guilty.
I mean, maybe, or either way, like as a, again, this is like a special kind of collector's piece, because think about like if we lived in Louisiana, which we don't,
right?
But if we did, none of our kids were born when Katrina happened.
No.
But this would be something where, again, if it was a replacement or whatever, you could buy it and you could pass it down to your kids and say,
totally.
like,
There'd be a story.
This is part of a story of a thing that I lived through. So I think this is a really cool piece. Again,
if I was a Katrina survivor or someone who grew up in the area or lived in the area, this would be on a list of guitars I was super tempted to buy, unless I was just trying to forget the whole thing.
I mean, that is another angle.
You know what the biggest downside to this guitar is?
What's that?
Is that it's definitely got to be like 100% haunted. This guitar's got to be haunted. There's no way like the original owner of this guitar isn't following it around
Ryan.
like, hey, you damn kids, you stole the guitar off my trash pile in front of my house after I died. Bring it back. Yes, Steve.
Ryan.
Yes.
It's not haunted. It's got mojo.
It's got its mojo working.
All right. Thanks to Sinusoid.
Isn't that kind of the same thing?
That's my point.
Okay.
Thanks to Sinusoid for sponsoring this episode.
Absolutely.
If you're looking for a custom cable or just something off the shelf that has a 100-year warranty, Sinusoid.com is the cable shop for you.
If you want a cable that sucks, shop somewhere else.
All right. Our song today is sent to us by Matt Weinberger. Thanks, Matt. He is in a band called Township. This song is called Turquoise Kiss. Hope you love it.
Sounds like a nice kiss. Bye.
Bye.